Oh, a rare dry day. Look, is that, I think it's some sort of camellia, isn't it, coming out? Look at the green in the shrubs. Gorgeous. It was also dry yesterday when I popped down. I didn't have my camera with me though. Now, you know we've been having a lot of rain. Let's just admit that forsythia as well. It's not my favourite, but lovely pop of colour. Yeah, we've been having tons and tons and tons of rain. There have been quite a few occasions I've been coming down even in the rain. But over the weekend we had some gales and this happened. Oh, good. Someone's been at it already. This tree. Oh, poor tree. Oh, poor tree. When I came down yesterday, it was right across the path. And that's the hole it had been in. It's also toppled. You can see it's just laying outside there, that corner of the wall. And I think this is all part of the same tree. And it looks, I don't know, it looks pretty dead to me. It's hard to tell at this time of year, of course, because we're not in leaf yet. But there's just something about it. Whoa, look at that sky. Quick sticks. So, yeah, I mean, it's always such a shame, isn't it, when we see a lovely big tree felled. All the greenery, that's ivy. That's the ivy covering it. We're very fortunate here that 2 of our pot holders are tree surgeons. So yeah, I'm guessing they've been out. Yeah, they must have done that with a chainsaw. So I wonder if it'd be nice to keep those shorter bits. We can put them in our picnic areas, little stumps for, at least for kids to sit on, or maybe near the burn pile. But yeah, it's all the way over there, all the way. I did check yesterday, because I don't know if anyone had noted it, because I was here quite early, but it hadn't done any damage to that plot. Fortunately, it didn't fall the other way and smash, because, sorry, just back up around here, if it had gone t'other way, if it had fallen that way, that's our composting loo. It could have, yeah, it could easily smash through that. Oh, poor tree, poor tree. Now we have to think of it as it rots, it will be home for all sorts of little small creepy things, and if it's a home to small creepy things, then birds will come along and enjoy gobbling them up. Right, to the shed. Ooh. I'm ready for my sit down. Obviously, as far as you're concerned, we've just got here, but my goodness, I've had a mad run around morning. Silly busy. But anyway, I'm here now. I can catch my breath. Yay, and it's dry. Yay. So I was just mentioning with the weather, obviously that's one of the reasons I haven't brought my camera down, is because it's just, I mean, we've just had, it's ridiculous. You know this by now. We've had a ridiculous amount of rain. And there have been days when I've been down and I've been doing something out there. It's just like fine drizzle, that's okay, but I can't bring the camera out. Or there have been moments of dry when I've done stuff like I've been cutting the grass, trimming my edges, tidying my beds, all that sort of thing. But again, I'm sort of dashing in and out, and I haven't wanted to stop and film, and it's kind of boring stuff. So here we are, right at the end of March. I think you're going to see this just into April. Right on the cusp of a new growing season. Yay! Excitement. I've got a bit of a secret to tell you, a little secret project, surprise, whatever you want to call it. And I hope you will all forgive me for keeping a secret from you. It wasn't done out of maliciousness. It was done purely for my own sanity. We have to wind the clock back a bit. To the end of September, when I was in Swanage, having that time with my sister and splashing in the sea and la. And I think I mentioned at New Year's as well about there are all sorts of changes happening. kind of coming into a new chapter of my life. Some of those changes, and I said at the time, I think you won't see them just yet, but they're in motion. Some things you will see, like the new book thread, all that da-da-da. So there's been a lot of decision making going on. There's been a lot going on in the background. And it culminates in a point a week from now for me, is that I made the decision to give up the garden. Yeah. So whilst I was in Swanage, I was in the sea, floating on my back, just drifting along, looking at clouds, looking at the cliffs and the trees. And I just thought, you know what, enough's enough, Vivi. You need this. You need this. And I don't necessarily mean I need to be in the sea, swimming or bobbing or whatever. I need time off. I need 1 day off per week. And I just never get it. I haven't had it in the 7 years since starting my channel. Excuse me. I've occasionally had little tiny mini breaks of 3 or 4 days, but you know, I haven't had a 1 week holiday. I don't mean even going anywhere, but I haven't had a week off since the summer of 2017, and since then I've barely had a day off. And I thought, this is crazy. You're going to kill yourself. This is all me floating on my back. So I did a lot of thinking whilst I was in Swanage, and I thought, you know what, something's got to give. Something has to give. I can't go on the way I have been, you know, 80, 90 plus hours a week. So I decided it would be the garden that would go. And, you know, I mean, I have been talking about this for sort of 18 months or so in any case. You know, when I move to a ground floor flat, the idea will be that I'll get a bit of garden, I'll have some outdoor space. We'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, so I came back from Swanage and I'd pretty much made my mind up, but I thought, you know, just come and have a few days in the garden, do some work in the garden and make sure that you are sure, as it were. So yeah, in the first week of October, I thought, yeah, this is absolutely the right decision for me to just walk away now and start something new further down the line in the future. So I wrote to the committee, I formally handed in my notice to quit, or my notice to not renew my tenancy. But so that was in October, 6 months ago. So our tenancy the new tenancy doesn't start till April the 1st. It goes April the 1st, around to March the 31st. So here I am in the last week of March. I did at the time say to them, if you can find someone to take over the plot before the end of March, I'm perfectly happy for someone to take over right now. But they didn't. They haven't. Well, the council haven't sent them any more names and numbers yet. So as far as I've been concerned, for the last 6 months, I've continued to work the garden. I've continued to grow and to harvest from it. And I will keep it tidy and lovely right until the day when I hand my key back. I'm not one of these people who's just going to walk away, leaving a load of trash behind. I can't stand that. So I might have to stand up to do this properly. But if you have a little look around this shed, oh, no cushions. It's all been. Well, I'll show you. I'll stand up and show you properly in a minute. So yeah, so for the last few weeks, I've been coming 3, 4, 5 days a week, depending, and literally I've just been emptying this shed using my granny trolley. Oh my goodness, this has been like moving house itself. But anyway, look, back to that decision, and I made the decision not to tell anybody, apart from the committee, and I told Richard and Paul, obviously, besties, and I told a couple of friends, sort of outside of the gardening world completely. But otherwise I kept it quiet, and I kept it quiet from all of you, and I hope you will forgive me for that. There's 2 reasons in a way. I didn't want anyone giving me advice. You know, I'm a big grown-up girl, I'm a very practical lass, and I went through every possible permutation of, oh, if you do this, if you do that. It's like, no, it's got to be done with. So yeah, I didn't want people writing in saying, oh, but why don't you share it with someone, or why don't you go to a half plot, or why don't you go to raised beds, or why don't you go to no dig, or why don't you get some young people in to garden it for you and you can give them all your experience, and no. I need a clean break, because apart from anything, whatever idea someone might have come up with, I've still got to walk here and walk back, and that kills me. So I kept it quiet, partly because of not wanting any unsolicited advice, but also because it's a big deal. It is a big deal to me, and I've gone through all sorts of emotions in the last 6 months, from initially, right at the beginning of October, going, oh, brilliant, this is a huge relief, I'm going to get my life back, to days where, days where I've just sat in the garden listening to the birds, and then I've just started sobbing, because I'm going to miss it. But yeah, having it just as my little secret. I didn't even tell people on site. Actually, I've told a couple of people. I told the lasses next door, just because they're good friends, and I knew that they would keep it to themselves. But yeah, I didn't even want people here giving me all those suggestions of how I could manage it. But yeah, so it's in a way, it's given me time to get used to the idea, which is great. I've had all that time to kind of mourn the loss. Here's Rosie, coming for a cudge. Yeah, I've had all that time to just adjust to the idea, which is great, rather than it being a sort of, the tripod's going to get rubbed and knocked in a second. Are you coming up, sweetie? Come on then. Come and say hello to everyone, Rosie. Or more to the point, say goodbye. Yeah, it's given me time to adjust to the idea, and I absolutely know this is the right decision for me. It's a tough one, but it is the right decision. So I don't want anyone worrying that I'm making the wrong decision. I've got notes. There's things I want to remember to say. Yeah, I don't want anyone thinking you'll regret it in 2 weeks. I've had long enough with the idea of it going that if I was going to have any regrets, I think they would have shown up by now, and they haven't. So yes, I have worked the garden. I've kept it tidy. I've been emptying the shed. I'm not taking everything with me. I'm not taking any plants. That's a gift to whoever comes here. Now that everyone on my site knows, or most people, I've seen them now, everyone's delighted that I'm leaving the lily, so that in the summer, around about 20th of July, the lily will flower and they'll all be able to go, oh yes, we miss Vivi. But actually, they won't miss me, because they'll see me outside of the garden, because I actually see most of the folk down here, I see more of them outside of the garden than I do in the garden, so that's fine. But yeah, so just kind of, hold on, let's get rid of that. I want to remember a few things to say. I want this to be celebratory rather than sad, and I'm not going to do any of that stupid emotional heart-tugging music. Oh, boo-hoo. It's been fantastic. It's been 15 years, so I've got a crick in my shoulder from earlier on. It's been 15 years. It's been fantastic. I've had so much food out of the garden. Oh, what are you going to do about food, Vivi? I'm going to come on to talking about some maths in a separate video, because there are ramifications in terms of not having my own homegrown food. Yeah, there's a whole, I've already started to do some maths and balances, some checks and balances. I'm getting warm now, that wind's died down. So, in so many ways, when I started the channel, obviously I had the allotment before I had the channel. And when I started my channel, I had to leave work. At that time I was working as a nurse, and I had to leave my job. I simply physically could not do it anymore. I couldn't do 14 hours a day pounding on these knees. I could still do a garden, I just couldn't do a nursing shift. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I can support myself from my plot. And that's kind of like where the channel started, is can I be self-sufficient for just a year? We'll give it a go for a year. I'll have to get a job eventually. But yeah, can I support myself with my own homegrown produce? And here I am 7 years later, still don't have a wage, still very happy and still supporting myself. So it has given me so much. And I mean, I'm looking out the shed door beyond. Oh, Rosie's going off up the path now. She's got the hump with me because she didn't get a cuddle. Looking at it now and thinking of just how much it's given me, not just in food. There were 2 years. There are so many things I'm proud about with this garden as well. You know, I'm very proud. I pat my own back. I've won best plot a couple of times. I even won best plot in the entire borough one year. I didn't enter myself. I would never dream of entering myself for a competition. No, the committee had me on their shortlist. They picked me. But anyway, so I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of some of the things I've grown here and tried to grow, things which are a bit different. And just even thinking back 7 years ago, I can't remember. Actually, I was doing it even longer ago than that. 10, 11 years ago. I don't remember anyone in the UK on YouTube growing chickpeas. So I like to think maybe I started a bit of a trend of growing chickpeas in the UK, and I blimmin' love my garden chickpeas. Chickpeas, lentils. A couple of years I grew lentils. They grew really well. They're an absolute beggar though to harvest and process because they have to be threshed and winnowed, and it's a lot of work. It's too much work, but I did it. So yeah, in those early days, trying things like chickpeas, lentils, soya beans. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of saying, yeah, maybe we can do it in the UK. Let's have a go. Yes, we can do it. Yay, let's all do it. I'm really proud of the fact that through sharing my little garden here, that so many people have kind of picked up the bog for gardening and have grown a few of their own bits too, especially growing in an organic way and a truly organic way, so that we start with organic seed and we have organic soil. So that's all fab. There were a couple of years, I think I did it in 2016 and again in 2020. I might be wrong. I haven't got my notebook here, stupidly. But over those 2 separate years, every time I harvested, I weighed all my produce or counted. So some things like onions, I counted the individual onions or squash or whatever. Some things it's more by weight, so like tomatoes, beans, that sort of thing. I totted them up by the end of the year. So, excuse me. And both years, I actually did the tot-ups too soon. I did the tot-ups around November, December. And of course, forgetting all that produce that I have right through till March, April the following year. So both those years, the produce amounted to nearly £2,000 money, not weight, 2,000 quid. In other words, about 40 quid's worth of veggies a week. That's fantastic as well. So I'm kind of proud of that too. I'm proud of sort of saying to the world, you can do it. You can grow a lot of veg. It takes a lot of work. And unfortunately that work is just getting a bit too much for me these days. But yeah, it can be done. And what started, I mean, obviously I started the plot whilst I was still working. I was just transitioning into nursing in those days. But starting the channel, it just started off as a project for a year to see, yeah, if I could manage for a year without a wage, and 7 years later. So yeah, I think the so one of the big things for me is to reclaim some time for myself. Now, some of that time will be taken up with other work. We'll talk about the money in a separate video because it's quite a delicate balance. And I need to get it right. I definitely need to get it right. Let's see, but yeah, I've written here, in the meantime, I need to earn more money to pay for the veg that I'm now going to have to buy. But you know, the other thing is, a few evenings ago, gosh, it was more than a few, it was kind of around over sort of Christmas, New Year-ish, during the winter. There was an evening I was sitting down with my own recipe book, you know, recipe scrapbook, the one that you write your recipes in yourself, not a shop bought recipe book, my recipe book. And I was looking through at the recipes that I used to make, you know, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that I've made in ages, that I'd almost forgotten about. And I thought, oh, I really fancy having that recipe again at some point soon. And I thought, why have I not made it? And then it sort of struck me that, in a way, and I think partly by doing the channel, it's done this to me as well, is it's almost like I felt like I had to prove something. Which really, after that first year, I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore, but I kept trying to prove. I was trying to prove that you can live off the veg you grow. And so I was trying to not buy ingredients that I haven't grown. Obviously I do and did, you know, like rice and lentils and what have you. But there were so many recipes I simply stopped making because I'd have to buy pretty much all the ingredients. And I thought, that doesn't fit with my channel. If I have to buy all these ingredients, how does that fit with this channel of mine, where the idea is, if I make a recipe that's got, say, 6 ingredients in it, well, at least 3 of those ingredients have come from the garden. So that's another reason why it's a good decision and a good move, is to say, okay, now if I'm going to be buying all my own veg anyway, I can make whatever I fancy, because I can buy whatever veg I fancy. I don't have to just keep doing recipes based solely on my garden produce. I can do anything I want now. So that's fun, that's exciting. I hope that's something we'll do in the future. I mean, look, this year is still going to be a crazy bonkers year because there's so much happening and so much transition. But, you know, as I get into a new home and as I get settled down and into more of a routine, then yes, I can start bringing you some recipes of some really lovely dishes that I used to make years ago but stopped making when I started my channel. So that's a good thing, that's a really positive thing. In terms of, I mean, God, I'm going to miss this place. I'm going to miss this place so much. And it's in there are so many levels. I'm going to miss my own homegrown produce, but hopefully I'll have a garden and get going again later on. But yeah, I'm going to miss my own homegrown produce, of course, but more than that, I'm going to miss the place itself. There's something really special about this site. I feel so loved by everyone here. There have been quite a few tears already, and not necessarily mine, as I've been telling people I'm leaving. I feel wrapped up by everyone here. It's beautiful. So that I will miss, but of course I will still see people outside of the garden. The lovely cats, oh my goodness, the cats over the years. A beautiful Poppy. I adored that girl. And she was the mum of both Rusty and Rosie. And then, of course, earlier this year, Rusty died too. Rosie's gone off in a huff. But not just those 3. There's Brodie and Monroe and Coco whenever she appears. She doesn't come over here too much, but Monroe comes over and plays a lot. And Brodie was a lovely cat too. But I like to just watch Brodie. Anyway, yeah, I'll miss the cats. But even things like the insects, my goodness. Such insect life here. The hours I have spent sitting on the deck just watching bees in the lavender, or bees going in and out of the bee houses. Hours and hours gone just watching bees. Butterflies on the lavender, oh my goodness. And was it 2-3 years ago? Because I think it comes in cycles of 7 years. The peacock butterflies, gorgeous. You just see covering the lavender. That's been a joy. Stag beetles, I love stag beetles. I think behind my shed must be a sort of perfect place for them, because I do in the spring, or late spring isn't it, see them crawling out off to go and find a mate for the year. Yeah, they've been a joy. Even, you know, the foxes. Paul saw a hedgehog here once. I've never seen it. We did set up a wildlife camera, not me and Paul, me and Kay set up a wildlife camera, never managed to see it. But yeah, the fox cubs, some years they're absolutely mental, bouncing around on my nets, like my nets are their playground trampolines. Yeah, it's the birds, of course, all the birds. We have everything from, you know, the littlest wren, all the different tits, the different finches, the jays, the beautiful jays, the mad magpies that cackle in the trees, the crows, spotted woodpeckers, and amazingly green woodpeckers. And green woodpeckers are the ones that bounce on the floor. They look like they've got their arms folded behind their back. They're sort of Professor Yaffle woodpecker, but going along my grass paths pecking, because they're ground feeders. Tawny owls, kestrels. I mean, it's just such a variety of bird life. It's been a... I'm going to get emotional. Is it the birds that's going to get to me? But yeah, bird song and also watching the antics of the birds has been such a joy, such a pleasure over the years. So obviously, I'm going to miss all that. But, and that makes me sad. Of course it does. But of course, where I'm at right now is an incredibly exciting time, and now I'm getting chilly again. Honestly, this weather, it don't know what it's doing. If the sun, when the wind drops and the sun comes out a bit, there's a moment of, it's almost warm. The sun goes in, the wind picks up, it's not warm. Yes, just in terms of wrapping things up here, I'm not quite done, and because the weather has been so awful, I actually spoke to the committee and they've said, don't hurry to leave. But it's not in terms of working the garden, it's just in terms of getting all my stuff out of the shed and taken home. Now, there's some big stuff I'm not taking, and like I said, I'm not taking any of the plants from the garden. That's my gift to the next person. The 2 blueberries, I've got those big blueberry bushes in pots. One's going to neighbours that way, one's going across the other side of the main path. My deck chair, I was thinking, I haven't seen them yet because it's been winter, but there's a couple near me, and yeah, he likes to have a little sit in the afternoon, so I was thinking maybe he would like my deck chair. The cold frame, that's going to go to Gary. This weekend, I can't wait. Richard and Paul are coming over, and I've got loads of stuff earmarked for Paul already. And yeah, so he's going to hopefully he'll have loads of stuff. Any tools that he doesn't want. I'm keeping small bits, so like all my trays and modules and pots, I'm keeping all that because they're quite small and packable. In terms of big tools, I'm going to keep my fork out of sentiment. I'm going to keep my 3-pronged cultivator because that used to belong to old Paddy, my lovely old boy who was up on this further. He was next door to Gary's plot actually, and I got one of his tools after he died, so that's sentimental. But yeah, my watering cans obviously. But there's a lot of the big stuff, long-handled tools. I'm just going to give to the committee. They can go into the communal shed so that any newbie, when people first come, and if they've got no kit, they don't have to lay out a load of money straight away. They can just borrow a spade or what have you. My edging shears, will I need edging shears? I don't intend to have grass when I move. I mean, there might be grass when I move, but I don't intend to keep it. So just on the subject of that, and this rather crazy daunting year that's ahead of me, you know, I vacillate between absolute terror. How am I going to do it? It's too much on my own, and I keep thinking of my sister, thinking, oh God, sis, could you not have hung on a few more years? I need you, you know, helping me pick a house. But yeah, so on the one hand, I am full of terror, but I'm also really excited. It's like half and half at the moment. The thought of having my own garden. Wow, 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 wow. So of course, I mean, I can't plan anything for that yet because I haven't found a property to live in. But I will. I mean, it's completely my intention to grow at least some veggies when I move. I want to grow flowers. I can see it being very much a cottage type garden, a potager. So it's a mix, the flowers and veg are all just mixed in together, rather than this kind of very neat rows that I do with the allotment growing. And part of the reason it's been like that on the allotment over the years is because I grow intensively, you know, I pack a lot in. And as soon as one bed becomes free, I'm planning, you know, what's the follow-on crop, that sort of thing. So that's part of the reason for these serried ranks that I've always had in the allotment, is because this is intensive. This is food production primarily. Prettiness is way down the line. Although I think a neat, tidy allotment is pretty. Anyway, so yes, I think I'm waffling now, aren't I? I'm suddenly waffling. Yeah, it's a funny old time. It's a funny old time. I've got, yeah, so the committee have said don't hurry to clear the rest of the shed out, but hopefully once Paul's had his pickings, I think I've still got a few more days of backwards and forwards. And of course, over the years, this is the point I wanted to make, I have had gifts from people to use in the garden. Things like my orange trug, my green slug collars, they're all coming with me. I can't remember, someone, I think, forgive me, my mind these days, I forget things. Did someone send me some money, I think it was, to get the bean poles? Was it Tony or Stuart? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember. I was sent money to get those bean poles. I'm not taking the bean poles with me. I don't have anywhere to store them at home. So yeah, just the small things. So once all that's done, the other job, and this just reminded me, of course, is I've got my little metal signs all over the garden, on the outside of the shed, on the fence. So I'll need to go around with my screwdriver and get all my metal signs. I'm not leaving my lovely decorations because they're all personal and lots of them are gifts. I'm just watching a robin. My neighbour outside my shed has freshly turned some soil, he's planted. I can't see it from here. It might be, where are my glasses? I haven't got my glasses. I think it might be raspberry canes. But where that soil's been turned, the robin is kind of on the top of the cane. The canes are only about maybe a foot or more. So he's perched on the top of the cane, then diving down. It's the joy, isn't it? It's the joy of the garden. I will have the joy of the garden again, but further down the line once I've moved. The other thing, just to say very, very quickly, is, and I know a lot of people have said, oh, but can you not just keep it ticking over until you've had knee surgery? The fact is, I might not end up having knee surgery for 2, 3, 4 years, you know. I don't even have a referral at the moment. I have to move to a ground floor first, then get a referral, then go on a waiting list. It could be 3 or 4 years. And this plot is too much for me to keep going for the next 3 or 4 years. So no. Give it to someone else. Let someone else be a custodian for a while. Let someone else love it and enjoy it. I really hope they love it as much as I have, and I really hope that they nurture it and they give it all the love that it needs and that it deserves. Gonna get weepy. So that's it for today, I think, because I really am about to waffle. So yes, decision made. Very happy with it. Excited for the future. Sad to say goodbye here, but I'm more excited than I am sad. That's fab, isn't it? So I will see you all again soon. Not sure what we'll be doing. I'll be coming backwards and forwards to here. I'll give you a quick, hang on, let me give you a quick shot of the shed as it is at the moment. You can see how far I've got. There's a lot to do. Well, believe it or not, it's actually looking considerably emptier and tidier than it did a few days ago. Every day I make progress. This is all for Paul. That's they belong to the girls next door. They're the ones I borrowed. It's the slug collars, but I took them home and washed them. Some seeds in the top. That's the last of my pots. My goodness. So I've just filled the trolley again, but this was all pots on the top here. That's all done. All my seeds and all that sort of stuff has gone home already. My bits tin has gone, but my bobs tin is still got a few nibbles in it. my basket, and that's Clyde. Oh, and obviously my hoary knife, that's coming with me. But yeah, you can see empty shelves, empty. I'll give everything a good sweep and wipe before I go. These shelves might look full still, but they're not. I'm going to leave these for... I think I'm going to leave these for the next person, because I think it'd be nice for them to have the baskets ready to use. But bits down there are coming home. That's tool bits. All my little... These are vintage fruit crates. They are coming home with me. Most of what was under there has been cleared out now. There's a couple of tins of paint. I'm going to leave those. My orange tug and my metal pail are coming with me, as are my 2 watering cans. Yeah, and obviously on this side, look, it's so weird. There's no decor. There's no cushions. There's no decorations. I'm going to leave the pin board. Whoever comes in, they might want a pin board for writing their jobs and their tasks on. Yeah, that basket is coming home. It's a lovely basket, and my jug and bowl are coming home. So this has been my super useful bowl for washing my veg in the garden before it comes home to get the worst of the mud off. And then, yeah, that's about it. I've got some bubble wrap waiting there, because I've got some of my vintage terracotta pots to wrap up. Oh, that bit of compost I can chuck on the garden. I've got there's half a trug there. One is quite a big pot of chicken manure. That's for Paul. And like I said, I'm gonna offer the deck chair to Pip and Joy, because I think he will really enjoy sitting in that on sunny afternoons. But yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit... You know what, in a way, I just thought, in a way, it's kind of good practice, this, for seeing my house empty in those last minutes before I leave it and move on. Oh gosh, lots of emotions, but for now, a shed that is gradually emptying, and in the next couple of weeks will be once again just a shell and not a home anymore. Someone else's home when they arrive. I need me water. Yeah. Alright, lovelies, this time I really am going. I will... Yeah, I'll see you all soon. Not sure what I'm doing next. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, whatever it is, I'll see you again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, please look after yourselves. Enjoy the start of your season if you are a long-time gardener, but especially if this is your first ever garden this year. Enjoy every minute, because I tell you what, having a garden, it's such a special blessing. Cheerio, lovelies.